Hey guys, it's Cloudy. How are you all? Today we're going to be talking about what makes an interesting K-drama. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, I want to give some recommendations for K-dramas to watch if you hate K-dramas or if you have a friend who is a non-K-drama fan. First, we're going to talk about what are some interesting things that make dramas and stories captivating to viewers. Next, we're going to be talking about some dramas that will be really great to introduce to your non-drama fans or to watch with someone who is not familiar with K-dramas but wants to get into them through some more mainstream stories. So I did some research and also asked around to friends and family that don't technically watch dramas on a regular basis. They would not consider themselves as a big drama fan, and so I asked them what are some things that make stories and movies or TV shows and books attractive for them, and we've come up with about 5 different reasons. The first is attractive characters or chemistry between the main actors. Sometimes people want to see characters that truly are believable when they fall in love or have really intense chemistry, and not all actor pairings are going to have that. So when it comes to pairings where the chemistry is off the charts, people tend to stick with the stories even though the plot might not be that interesting. They're just there for the actors' performances. Second is a solid background with relatable and understandable main characters. This has to do with how the characters are written and what kind of identity or personality that they represent. They could be coming from a richer background, a poorer background, a mixed background. They could have different gender orientations, and they could just have overall different outlooks on life or unique outlooks on life. And however these characters are created, as long as they feel like a full relatable person with a rounded personality, I think that will be more captivating to people. I've heard a lot of people complain about cartoonish villains or characters that fall into typical tropes, like female leads that are holier than thou, male leads that have a heart of gold after meeting the main female lead, or just guys that are like typically too masculine or too traditional. That might turn some audiences off because we've seen them so often in other series. Third is motivations that make sense. Have you ever followed a villain or main character that was just evil for the sake of being evil? Sometimes it works in over-the-top anime or action anime series, but a lot of the times people want to see more depth in our villains. Like, everything is not black and white in the story, and I think a lot of like gray characters or anti-hero characters are becoming very popular as well. The next thing is dropping hints that lead us to a big mystery or a big picture. Now, this is something that makes dramas and series very attractive for me, because if there's a mystery at the beginning or some huge secret that hasn't been revealed, I will stick around just to find out. Like, I am just that curious. And as the hints are being dropped throughout the progression of the series, I think that it can be very captivating for audience members and will lead them to stick around for the entirety of the show. Number 5, the villain has to be attractive. So someone who is plotting, has intriguing motivations, or someone who's so completely unhinged that you cannot look away. I feel like villains kind of fall into 2 or 3 different categories. One is the very typical cartoonish evil villain. We know their motivations. They just hate the character or they're getting revenge. Second is the more twisted, dark villain, plotting, subtle villain, where you don't really know they're evil until a certain reveal near the end. And then the third is just villains from like makjang dramas, where the villains are so unhinged that you cannot look away from the dumpster fire and you just want to see the fire keep burning and explode. And I feel like there are certain K-dramas where crazy villains and psychotic villains have an appeal to audiences because they're just so unhinged, you don't know what they're going to do next. All right, so we talked about certain features that appeal to audiences when they're watching dramas and movies. Now I want to give 5 different series that are really great to recommend to non-fans or also general viewers. I'm going to go in chronological order and pick out some shows that are pretty popular. So if you are a classic drama fan, or if you're like a diehard drama fan, chances are you've already heard and watched these shows, but these are just some of my suggestions if you are trying to hook your buddy into the K-drama world. I will be giving a brief rundown of the plot, the appeal of the show, and some tropes that come up in each series. The first show I want to talk about is Reply 1994. A lot of people would rank 94 as their least favorite Reply, But maybe because I was born around that time, I find it a little bit more relatable, and I like that it has a heavy focus on students' lives in university. Reply 1994 follows a group of students from different countryside areas and backgrounds who have come to Seoul for college. They are all geniuses and incredibly talented in their own way, and they all attend some very prestigious school that is very renowned in South Korea. So there is a sort of like idealized school life and slice of life experience that we get to see in Reply 1994. The appeal of the Reply franchise is that every Reply series tends to mix historic and also contemporary events together while fleshing out each character's story and giving them very well-rounded issues and well-rounded personalities, making them very relatable to audiences of all ages and all backgrounds. As for the tropes, we see a lot of back and forth flashbacks. There's finding yourself, there is found family and true friendship, and of course, for some reason, every Reply series likes to show you an unrequited crush where there is a second lead pining after the first girl who falls in love with the first guy. So it's sort of like first guy, first girl is the OTP and final couple goals, and there's always an unrequited crush. The second series I want to talk about is called Guardian, the Lonely and Great God called Dokkaebi. It is a series that has fantasy elements, immortal protected entities, and romances that span curses, centuries, life, and death. There's a sort of like mysterious supernatural aspect around life and death that even the gods don't fully understand. And it's a modern fantasy romance with identity mysteries at the core of its plot. Kim Shin is a military general from the Goryeo dynasty who was framed as a traitor and killed in his time. But because he had slaughtered and taken so many lives as a general in war, he was cursed to be immortal and have a sword stuck in his chest until the Goblin Bride appears and removes it for him, thus breaking the curse. And of course, the Goblin Bride is going to be our main female character. Once she falls in love with him, she gets into the dilemma of whether or not she wants to pull the sword out, because if she pulls the sword out, he will finally die and be at peace, but that means they'll be separated. Some of the tropes include the Cinderella trope, where the goblin appears anytime Cinderella calls and he protects her and he saves her from all scenarios. There's a big age gap, which some people didn't like, but it's not that much of an impeding factor in the story. There's a lot of pining and angst. There's amnesia through reincarnation, which is something they have to navigate. There's also reincarnation romance and the I see dead people trope. Our female lead can see ghosts, which adds a little bit of more interesting conflicts to the story. Next, I want to talk about Mr. Queen, which is a sageuk K-drama or period drama. After a near-death experience, a chef from the Blue House in the modern time finds his soul launched into the body of a queen from the Joseon period. He tries to get into the Queen Dowager's favor and also help the king, but she slowly realizes that the king has some suspicious and also mysterious darker side to his personality. If you are a picky drama watcher who's watched a lot of dramas and is looking for something that's really good, this drama is a great one to check out. The king and queen have really amazing friendship and chemistry. There are a lot of little plot twists that keep you engaged, and the music is also very lovely. Tropes include the big bad dowager queen, because obviously she's manipulating the king. Also the jerk with a heart of gold, which is the king himself. Some time travel and also some gender bending, which results in some pretty hilarious moments throughout the show. For people who don't want to deal with a super serious or convoluted sageuk that has a lot of minister manipulations, I think Mr. Queen is a really good drama to start with. Next, we're going to talk about Vincenzo, which stars Song Joong-ki. A boy named Park Joo-hyung is adopted by an Italian family. When that family dies, rather than getting involved in a mafia war of secession, Vincenzo, the boy, decides to go back to Korea. He ends up going against a huge conglomerate and sort of doles out justice through his own methods. Since he was raised by the mafia, you can kind of get a sense as to what those methods, legal and illegal, might be. I would say that the appeal of the show is that all the characters are gray. They're not overly dark or overly good, and there's a lot of dark humor throughout the show. It's not necessarily a legal show per se. I've heard people describe it more as a comedy or dark comedy, and there's just a lot that is going on, but the hero always comes out on top. And if you're able to shut your brain off, then I think you'll have a lot of fun with Vincenzo. As for the tropes, there are a lot of moments where Vincenzo is like beating up or torturing characters, and he just does it with like a totally calm, emotionless persona. So he's very cool. He's a sort of like amoral attorney, and the other characters will get what they deserve if they're evil. So Vincenzo was a very, very fun drama to check out. Finally, we're going to talk about Extraordinary Attorney Woo, which I've also mentioned in my K-dramas to watch if you love Park Eun-bin video. Extraordinary Attorney Woo is one of those K-dramas that got a huge global appeal, and there are actually a lot of other countries that are remaking the story for their domestic audiences. It follows a lawyer called Woo Young-woo, who is an autistic lawyer and gets hired at one of the biggest law firms. She has two big passions, law and whales, and through these different lenses, she's able to navigate the world and interact with her clients and colleagues and just navigate working life as a lawyer and also as a person on the spectrum. Obviously, it is not representative of all autistic experiences or personalities, and in general, it helps to improve a little bit of the understanding and the image that people who are autistic or on the spectrum have when they're interacting with general public. We have the cute bunny ears lawyer trope, who is a sort of ditzy genius. She has photographic memory, very intelligent. We have the jealous love interest. There's a little bit of nepotism, and the very typical "you are taken off the case" moment for legal dramas. Finally, I'm just gonna name drop two very popular series. The first is Strong Woman Do Bong-soon, which everyone probably knows about. It's a very typical rom-com that involves a young woman with super strength. The second one is Crash Landing on You, which is written by the same writer as Queen of Tears and was the show in TVN with the highest viewership up till the finale of Queen of Tears. So if you're interested in something that's a little bit more serious and also delves into North and South Korean politics, Crash Landing on You is a great one to check out. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my vlog today, and hopefully you found something interesting for you and a friend to check out. So if you guys did enjoy my video, don't forget to check out more of my other K-drama videos linked below, and I will talk to you guys in my next video very soon. Bye!